Now the next stage of the Dinky Dino, which has changed again, because I looked at the plans I'd done and then I looked at the original just rough up of the Dinky Dino. And what the problem is, the Class 88 is a very long, quite a long, low looking diesel to me when I look at it. And when I looked at the big plans, it was like, it was just too deep, it was too stumpy. And when I looked at this is like the height I really would want on it. So what I've done is I've added a bit of paper to this one and put the wheel base on with the wheels and designed a new cab. So I'm going to be working through both plans because that is going to be the base width now. So it's not going to be too far over the tyres, which will be better for design. And the length will be to the other plan because that is designed to fit completely over the chassis, and I'm happy with that. So I'll take the length from one and the width from this, and this will give us our base cardboard. I have lost a bit of inner width, but the suspension does fit inside. Windows are not a problem because they're just going to be made to look on like bolt-on grills over the top. So I've got no worry of cutting major holes. Everything's going to sort of be mounted on the outside, which makes things a lot simpler than cutting windows out. But in this design, to be like the other, it won't really through windows anyway. So now I'm going to try and cut out a cardboard base to suit the design. Like I said, it'll be width from here, which I'll measure in a sec, and write them down. That'll be my base measurements to the length, which, like I said, will be from the other one. And we'll see what it looks like. Now, after an hour of cutting, I've got the rough shape in, and it's not quite right. I've got to shift everything forwards, and this is the great thing of working with cardboard. I've already snipped at times, so what I've got to try and do is I want to take it that way. So whatever you trim off this part, you've got to add to these areas and tape it back into place, and that'll give you keep the rough dimensions what you want. And like I said, this needs to go forwards, so it's almost there. I'll be truthful. It's tight in places, but like I said, I'll retrim it in a sec once I get it more accurate. But this is an hour just cutting this out to this stage. A lot of measuring, and then you realise it might not be quite right. It's not too bad, but I think I want to take it another 5mm forwards, or not. I don't know. I think I will. But it is sort of getting the look right, because you've got to allow, you're going to have a bit coming down, and it's going to be close to the wheel, hence the extra 5. Now I've continued on, like I said, moving everything 5mm forwards. I've now got it sitting where I think it would be good. That is definitely going to be the push point 2 on the parts. Everything else clears nicely. I've put a couple of strips on the back to try and make it a little bit more rigid. But we've now got to consider building upwards from it now. To do the box section, and that will give us our full base build. It doesn't matter if I build on top because I can measure from underneath, but taking your time, and like I said, where it weren't quite right and needed a bit of adjustment, I've just moved cardboard around, and so when I cut out this first piece of plastic, as long as I measure and cut all the holes exact to that, it will fit, and then I can set it to height and do the mounts to the chassis, and then you build upwards from there. So there's going to be plenty of room inside for everything, because it's got to sit up at least about here. It's got to have clearance for a bit of suspension travel. I've just got to work it out, but that's easier once I've got the board done. So now I'm going to cut out roughly the sides and put them on, because they're going to be quite big, because they're going to be like the full length complete of the almost of the chassis, well, of this base plate. Well, I'm getting there. The sides are on, the front is shaped, all I've got to do now is make the roof and the rear filling section for where the gun turret will be mounted here. So I think that looks a lot better because it's like I said, it's long and sleek now. I like that. So I'll get the last couple of parts cardboard on and I'll put it on the chassis and it'll show you how long it is. It is long. But like I said, getting this right saves so much work later because it's given me a lot of angles, sizes and everything to what I've got to cut the plastic. Because when you cut the plastic you've got to make allowances for the thickness, where I use 2mm. So let's get going on the last couple of bits of card. There we go, the basic structure is knocked out. It's not perfect because the roof wasn't quite right here, but when I'm building in plastic it'll be more accurate because I have frames, it's not just bits of cardboard stuck together, and it'll be much stronger. But I hope you get the rough idea. But the most important part was the underneath, which is all ready to make the final one of those and get it mounted on the chassis where I want it. But no, I'm overall pleased with it, you know, and it's just setting the height because it's going to have to be fairly high, at least there off the tyre, you know, at least that gap to allow a bit of suspension, and then I'll have to limit the rest, but we'll come to that later. So I hope you like it up to this stage. The next stage we'll actually see some plastic being cut.